Yo, Black Family Power. What's going on? It's KingLeonX, the Human Liberator. This is episode 70. Episode 70 of our midday self-mastery, self-motivation series called Take Charge of Your Life. Episode 70. This is 12 weeks. We 12 weeks in. We 12 weeks in to take charge of your life. I know that the wind is choppy, so if y'all can't hear me or you need me to repeat something, go ahead, let me know in the comments. But again, this episode 70. If I say something that resonates with you, you go ahead, type "make the choice." Right? Make the choice is the hashtag for our series, because we understand it's only one choice in life. To become your greatest version, develop yourself to the highest state mentally, spiritually, emotionally, so you can become the greatest asset to the collective, or not. Right? There's only one choice. Everything else is minor choice. You're either going to take responsibility for the space that you occupy and stop deflecting, realize that you're the problem and the solution, or not. This is the only choice to make. Right, Irene? We got special guest Irene, Miss Mindfulness herself. Anyway, today we talking about wealth and happiness, right? We talking about wealth and happiness, and another leaders or readers of edition of Take Charge of Your Life. Leaders or readers, you pick up a book, record yourself reading 1 to 3 pages, challenge your timeline to do the same. So we're gonna go through this whole entire. We're going through this whole entire 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness book. We on page 9 today, though. And it's 2 sections that we're going to cover: wealth and happiness. Yesterday, we talked about the fundamentals. And if you watched yesterday's video, we learned that don't try and search for the exotic until you master the basic. Right? We know, and we talked about it's a half a dozen things that we can do or that we need to do. Right, success is just a few simple disciplines implemented on a daily basis. Failures, a few errors in judgment repeated daily. Right, so it's only a half a dozen things that we need to consider and get right. Think a half a dozen things that we need to use our willpower to make sure that we do every single day. And it's going to be impacted tremendously. Let's see what. So talking about fundamentals today. Let's see what Rome got to say about wealth. Define is wealth. Wealth is a controversial word because it brings to mind a variety of images and conflicting concepts. After all, each of us views wealth from a different perspective. To one person, wealth may be having enough money to do whatever he or she wishes. To another person, wealth may be freedom from debt, freedom from the constant claim of obligation. Yet to another, wealth may mean opportunity to grow and achieve. All right, so that's the first paragraph, right? So wealth is one of the fundamentals. Wealth is one of the basic things and the basic desires of all mankind. How we define wealth, we spent probably the first 10 episodes defining wealth as sound health, positive mental attitude, freedom from fear, a labor of love, hope for future achievement, capacity for applied faith, wisdom to understand people. What else? Open mind towards all subjects and all people. Right, these is what we define wealth as. Lastly, we caution material riches of our own choice and quantity will be the last thing. Right, so out of the diversity of wealth comes creativity, and creativity can help each of us find unique ways to work for a life of abundance. Because that's ultimately what we want. Right, it's the whole purpose of Take Charge of Your Life. It's the whole purpose of self-mastery. The whole purpose of personal achievement is so we can attract the type of experiences that make us feel good. Right? That's the whole purpose, right? So we can attract the all good. How do we become the all good? How do we attract that? How do we live in the all good, in the all love, all joy, all power, all wisdom? Right? So the whole purpose of life and our human experience is to shift us and mold us and move us to the direction which is inward. And as we turn inward, we get to define wealth for ourselves. And ultimately, an easy way that makes me think about wealth is just ultimately something that makes you feel good. It just makes you feel good. Wealth makes you feel good. And however your definition would describe it, it's going to make you feel good. Right? Because the working towards a life of abundance is what we want. A lot of people be forgetting that. People work way harder on their job than they do on themselves. They work harder on their job than they do maintaining harmony in a relationship with their family. They work harder on their job than they do building a relationship with their children. They work harder on their job than networking, right? They work harder on their job than they do on themselves. They work harder on their job than they do on their future. Even me, I was guilty. Because, goddamn, when I was working corporate for these pilgrims, I would put in 70, 80 hours a week, busting my ass to achieve these, to be number one salesperson in the country. Busting my ass, right? Having the number one sales office in the country and these other types of things. So it's important. We can never forget. See, that's why people be having midlife and quarter life crises, is because people be having midlife and quarter life crises because they realize that they've been living someone else's goals and someone else's dream. They've been doing what someone else is supposed to do. And then they look up quarter life crisis in your 20s, your mid-20s, like, oh shit, nah, I was sold on the wrong plan. And it's better when that happens in your 20s. But some people, right, they be 50 years old, 60 years old, still committing themselves. The only thing that they committed to is what their boss tells them. And they still call other people, grown people call other people a boss or their boss or something like that. Is that the purpose of life, family? Like, we have to know, we cannot lose sight that the whole purpose of this person that started working to begin with, it was probably so they could live a life of abundance. And they lost sight of that. They lost sight of their goals and their dreams and their aspirations because of a few no's, because of a few, bad days, because of a few obstacles, because of a few setbacks, because of a few minor things. None of these things were catastrophes that knocked them off of their path. It's just they wasn't clear enough about their path. That's what we talked about the other day. People go and get jobs. I used to do interviews, like 30 interviews every day. I was hiring salespeople and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things with interviews is with job applications, the number one thing that people leave blank is how much money they want to earn or how much money they expect to earn. So come on now, you gonna leave that blank out of everything else? This is because most people haven't decided their worth and haven't determined that. Yeah. You feel me? It's really all it is just here's my body, here's my limbs, here's my limbs. I'll do whatever task that you want me to do. Please just give me some money for it. I'll just take it. I'll do whatever. I was just listening to a prank call the other day, and it was a prank call, and it was somebody who had been out of work for a year and some change, and they called him, and they asked him all these outrageous questions, and he was just like, yeah, well, yep, I'm willing, yeah, I'll do it, yep, and then the job ended up being picking cotton for $10 an hour, barefoot. Picking cotton for $10 an hour barefoot. And so this is where we at with it, family. This is why it's so important, because if you lose sight of who you are and your power, you lose sight of your goals, you lose sight of your vision, you will get got. You will get got, bro, and you will end up just like all these old heads who's frustrated, confused, poor, and lonely. You will be just like that. You will end up just like that. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you don't work hard. You could work hard and sincere your whole life. Guess what? Black people work hard as shit for 500 years, but that didn't increase the quality of our life. Shit, so you gotta be better than a hard worker. You gotta be a hard thinker. You gotta be a smart thinker. You feel me? You gotta be a hard thinker. You gotta be a hard reader. You gotta be a hard doer and executor and a hard responsibility taker. You feel me? And don't deflect. I'm just standing on this side here. The car's just over here. We cannot deflect, family. So yeah, let's go to the next paragraph. I think we just gonna talk about wealth. You driving through parking spaces. Okay, yeah. Anyway, like she's literally driving through all the parking spaces. Like we're walking through parking spaces. Anyway, okay. So yeah, matter of fact, I'm gonna just talk about wealth today. I'm gonna keep the topic on wealth. We're gonna talk about happiness tomorrow. Alright, but check this out. To the majority of people who haven't spent much time thinking about the subject of wealth, wealth is simply symbolized by one word: millionaire. Now there's an exciting word. It rings of success, freedom, power, influence, pleasure, possibility, and benevolence. Surely being a millionaire is not a bad mental image to hold. Likewise, the word wealth embodies more than economic concepts. We can talk about the wealth of experience, the wealth of friendship, the wealth of love, the wealth of family, the wealth of culture. However, for our purposes here, we shall focus on the kind of wealth that brings financial freedom. Wealth that comes from the conversion of effort and enterprise into currency and equity. This is what, so, because ultimately that's when people think wealth anyway, that's what they think about is money. When people think abundance, they think money, which just, it limits them. When you limit wealth, you get in the car? When you limit wealth to money, then you're not going to be able to experience all the other forms of wealth. Like when you do experience them, you're not going to recognize them as wealth. You're not going to recognize these things as wealth. So therefore, it's not going to make you as happy. But I get just as happy from a hug, because I understand the wealth of friendship. I get just as happy from a hug as I do as $100 deposited to my account. Right? I'm able to stay in have a positive mental attitude and stay in a place of gratitude because I've identified wealth as more than just money. Therefore, I can see all the wealth that's in and around me. Let me get this last little paragraph, and then we out. Right? Our 15 minutes about to be up. Here, I'm gonna find you in there, okay? Alright. So it's like this. For each of us, the specific amount of money that's required for us to feel wealthy will differ. Yet, I'm sure that our basic dream is the same. To be financially free. To feel free of financial pressures. To have freedom of choice. To enjoy the opportunity to create and to share. What does wealth mean to you? How much money will it take for you to feel financially free? These are not idle questions, right? These questions change the direction of my life, family. These questions, these concepts, these ideas, right? That I was beginning to ask myself seriously. I began to define what wealth is to me seriously, right? The whole direction of my life changed, and so. That's a byproduct. That's just a byproduct of taking charge of your life, family. It's KingLeonX. This is episode 70. When we talking about wealth. Wealth is a study. Wealth is an art. Wealth is an art, right? Wealth is a study. If you want to be wealthy, you study wealth. Right? If you want to be wealthy, you study wealth. Just like if you wanted to be a scientist, just like if you wanted to be a brain surgeon, you would study brain surgery. If you want to be a neurologist, you would study neurology. If you wanted to be a goddamn piano person, you would study music, right? If you wanted to be a carpenter, you would study carpentry. If you wanted to make your own beer, you would study brewery, right? If you wanted to build buildings, you would study architecture, right? Right? Likewise, family. If you want to be wealthy, you have to study wealth. If you want to be happy, you have to study happiness. These things are studies, right? Come on now. If someone wanted to be a philosopher, you have to study philosophy. Someone wanted to be a scientist, they have to study science. Come on now. If you want to be wealthy, you have to study wealth. If you want to be healthy, you have to study health. If you want to be happy, you have to study happiness. If you want to be successful, you have to study success. If you want influence, you have to study influence. If you want to be powerful, you have to study power. Right? This is the answer. We are the answer. Right? Everything is a study. We got the power. Right? Tomorrow we're gonna be talking about happiness. I ain't getting to happiness today. We just talked about wealth. Right? Wealth. What does that even mean to you? Right? What does that mean to you? What does wealth mean to you? What? You have to decide, family. I love your hair like that. But yeah. We have the power, ultimately, to change the direction of our life. And it starts with our belief system. It starts with our intentions. Your whole direction of your life can change in one day, just by a simple decision. Remember that. Alright, this episode 70. Take charge of your life. It's KingLeonX, the human liberator. You can check out my website, KingLeonX.com. Y'all stay grateful.